Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Kasane Chishimba and this is the Urban Sports Report. Just a little intro on the channel. The Urban Sports Report is a spin-off of my original channel, The Urban Outlook. The Urban Outlook is focused on insight, information, and essentials for the young sophisticate. Pretty much just social issues and motivational things that I like to put on video and blog about. So I'm going to leave a link for that if you'd like to get into that. But this is about sports. I created this channel because a lot of my family and friends and co-workers know I talk sports all day long when I'm not talking about the other issues. So I wanted to make a channel that was dedicated to that. So this channel, if I had to like split it up, it's going to be a good amount of Sixers. I love the Sixers. I know it's been a tough time to be a Sixers fan lately, but I do still love the Sixers. The NBA, my favorite league. I'm going to throw in some NFL here and there, just all kinds of other main sports topics, but it will be centered around the Sixers and other main the other big NBA topics. So, for my first video, I want to touch on a couple things that were going on right now in the NBA since this NBA offseason has been pretty crazy. First thing, Sixers. Ben Simmons, the debut. He debuted in the Summer League the other day. I believe it was July 4th. A couple of hours after Kevin Durant announced that he was signing with the Warriors. And my thoughts on Ben Simmons' debut, I thought he had a very good debut. Looking at it, my takeaways from it, we all know about Ben Simmons and his skill set, things of that nature, but my takeaway from it is that, one, I think he'll be a player that guys want to play with. You see him, he's very unselfish. He's looking not to just make the right pass, but very timely passes. He has that sixth sense when it comes to passing. Very gifted. He makes anticipatory passes that a lot of guys, even making the right play, can't make. He is, a couple steps ahead, and you see that, and he's very confident in his passing ability. What I think will have to happen with Ben Simmons is that he's going to have to be coached up similar to Kawhi Leonard. I say that because when Kawhi came into the league, he was very oriented in defense and not really getting out of the box. If you go back and watch, the first 2-3 years of Kawhi Leonard, it was just, I want to play defense very well, and I'm not going to really draw attention to myself. But you saw as time progressed, starting in the 2014 finals, where Pop kind of called his number and said, look, we need you to do a little bit more. And I think from that point on, you start to see a bit of an expansion, with his offensive game. With shooting, he started to create his own shot, much more confident in open shots. And I think I see similarities in Ben's game because I don't think that he looks for his shot enough. And it's not just from the Summer League game, but just from watching him, period. But I do think that he can do that throughout his career. He had a couple of 40-point games at LSU, so if you're getting 40 points in a game, you're obviously shooting the rock. So that's that. So to what I alluded to earlier, Kevin Durant. Okay, I immediately went live on Facebook when the news came down that Kevin Durant was signing with the Warriors. And now that it's been a couple of days and I've gotten to, it's kind of simmered down a little bit, I'll tell you this, I'm more so surprised that he did it. A couple of days ago, maybe like sometime last week, I posted on Facebook that I thought that he wanted to leave, but I didn't think that he would do it because he seems like a guy that wants to be liked and wants to be loved. And I thought that he wanted to leave and go to the Spurs or go to the Warriors to be with, I think is a more, or at least the choice of a more advanced organization. And he left. I was actually surprised. And as far as it goes with the comparisons to, is it worse than LeBron in 2010 when he left the Cavaliers for the Heat? Really, I'll say this. That feeling, I wouldn't say I was personally outraged with what LeBron did in 2010, but I will say that the shock value of it is kind of gone because of LeBron. Like, you can make a valid argument to say, oh, this is way worse than LeBron, and I'm probably leaning toward that. If you say if it's a weak move and is this worse than what LeBron did, I probably so. But as far as like that sensation of like, oh my God, I can't believe. I don't think so. I mean, in this new NBA that we're in, that LeBron James has played a huge part in making, it's hard to feel, you know, shocked anymore. You know, like this is just, you know, when you see how teams have been constructed, and you know this new age of the super team, and even though there have been super teams before, but this new age of how it's being orchestrated more so by the players, it's difficult to be really shocked by anything. I mean, you're seeing reports about the Warriors were courting KD 6 months ago. That's the middle of the season. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, it's going to be. I'll say this. It's a gift and a curse. If we get what we think we're going to get, which is a Warriors versus Cavaliers Part 3, that series, the ratings will be through the roof, and it's going to be phenomenal to watch. However it works out. It might be the beginning of a dynasty, or it might be LeBron, you know, leapfrogging everybody else and looking eye to eye with Michael Jordan. It'll be that series if LeBron can beat the Super Warriors. But the curse is that now I feel like, you know, the date is July 6th, and we're already looking forward to June 2017. And that sucks as a fan who likes to watch all the regular season games and stuff like that. Like, we're already mentally prepared to, you know, watch these two teams in the finals. So I thought last season was very entertaining because even though the East has been weak for a decade or so, you still had the Spurs, the Warriors, and the Thunder to watch over in the West. And I think if you know your basketball, you knew that all three of those teams had a very good chance of making the finals, and each of those teams could have beaten the other two teams. So it sucks for basketball fans who are looking for that intrigue during the season. Everything is just going to be about the Warriors and the Cavs and nothing else. But I do think the Spurs acquiring Pau Gasol, I think they're still going to be, you know, around. I do think, though, they do have to start thinking about getting a little bit younger, because we don't know what's going on with Timmy, and it's like sometimes those long playoff runs seem to really weigh on them. So that's that. But with the Kevin Durant thing, I'm going to use that to springboard into another topic that was talked about a bit in radio, and I thought about this almost like 2-3 hours after the Kevin Durant news came down. Westbrook to the Sixers? Just think about it. Now, the Thunder were kind of handcuffed with Kevin Durant last year, because even though they couldn't get a commitment from him, they weren't going to trade him knowing that he could walk away, because you still had Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, you know, Cantor, Adams, all those guys. You were still a contending team for a championship, and they were one win away from the NBA Finals. So you were kind of handcuffed in that situation. Now it's just Westbrook. Ibaka is gone, and I don't think anybody is going to think that Westbrook and, you know, Steven Adams are going to lead the Thunder to the NBA Finals. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think you almost have to trade Russell Westbrook. And in my thinking, part of it is just because I'm a Sixers fan, like I said, unapologetically. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the Sixers have enough young assets. Okafor, Noel, they have their first round pick next year. They have the Lakers' first round pick next year, which is likely to turn over, because I do not think that the Lakers will be bottom three again. And you also have the pick swap with Sacramento. I think the Sixers have enough assets to trade for Russell Westbrook. for a multitude of reasons. One, the Sixers have controllable assets. So if it was a Nerlens Noel or whoever, the Thunder would have that player's rights, not just throughout the contract, but even a Nerlens Noel, who's going to be a restricted free agent next summer, they would be able to match him on the open market. And then draft picks, you would have them for 4 years before it's time to re-up. So you would be able to kind of sell a fan base to say, okay, we had all these uncontrollable players that we had to let go, but now we're re-upping with new guys. So now you have, contracts that you might be able to trade. You might be able to do something with guys who the team is going to have the option on them for at least the foreseeable future. Another reason is that you just can't let Westbrook walk away. Now, it's tough. And also, whenever a superstar has to be traded, if you go back and look at all the superstar trades, whether it be Harden, whether it be Shaq going from LA to Miami, you keep going back at trades. Barkley going from the Sixers to Phoenix, you never ever see a trade where the team that's losing the star gets dollar for dollar value. So I don't think that you have to have like the mother load to make a trade for Westbrook. I think you just have to have a good enough offer that's better than anybody else. And I think that the Sixers, their assets might match what OKC is trying to do. Should the Sixers do it? I've been wrestling with this for the past 2 days. And I'm at the point where I would do it. Even, I think if you have Ben Simmons, if Embiid is healthy, that however it shakes out, even if he left, you still have to go at it. I mean, look, LeBron is running the East for the foreseeable future, unless something happens to him. Golden State Warriors are the Warriors. You have to make a splash. I think if anything, the NBA has taught franchises that you have to take a chance at acquiring talent, because if Russell Westbrook hits the open market, this is what I was thinking earlier. Do the Sixers, okay, if Westbrook was a free agent, the Sixers would want to acquire him. Like, the Sixers would not turn down a meeting with Russell Westbrook. So if Russell Westbrook would be a target next year, do you think you would have a better chance signing Russell Westbrook if he was just a free agent from the Thunder versus if he was part of your team for a year and you got a chance to sell him on the future? Look, being a team that won 10 games that has been looked at as the laughingstock of the league over the past 3 years, you have to be aggressive. I mean, you have to be aggressive. That's just my thoughts. I mean, part of me is saying, well, what if he walks away? Look, we just tanked for 3 years. I'm at the point where I'm part sensible and part of me doesn't even care anymore. It's like, you have to make a run at it because you never know. He might just resign. You can offer him the most money, and even with the cap going up, it's not going to keep jumping up $15 million every year. So it jumped from like 94 million, from 74 million to like 94 million this year, something of that nature. Next year they're projecting it to jump from 94 million where it's at now to 107 million. So after that, I don't think, I would have to look at the figures again, but I don't think it's going to keep jumping like from 107 up to 122, 125 range. I think at some point it's going to plateau. So if you can offer him the most money, offer him a situation where he's going to be the man, he gets to create his own legacy in a city that loves a player who plays like him. Iverson. I don't know. I think you have to do it. I would definitely kick the tires if I'm Brian Colangelo. It might be a 1-year deal, but if you got him into the city, you talk about revitalizing a fan base. It's a chance I would take. Well, guys, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I plan to be putting out more videos. I'm going to be checking out Summer League, everything that's going on. I'm going to try to be posting every couple days, at least twice a week, something like that, depending on the ebb and flow of the news cycle and the NBA and the Sixers and things of that nature. I appreciate you joining me. Peace.